Steelers fans, I am officially starting to get concerned about this whole Aaron Rodgers saga with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And today, I'm going to break down exactly why. Almost 2 weeks into NFL free agency, Rodgers remains unsigned, and the lack of movement is starting to raise questions. Why hasn't he put pen to paper with the Steelers? What is holding up the process? Today, I'm going to discuss 5 possible reasons why Aaron Rodgers still hasn't joined Pittsburgh and what this means for the team moving forward. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Because no matter when this situation resolves, whether it's later today, next week, before the NFL draft, or even all the way into training camp, we will be going live as soon as the news breaks. You don't want to miss it, so be sure to subscribe and stay locked in for all the latest updates. Now, let's start with a report that came out yesterday from Tom Pelissero regarding the Minnesota Vikings' stance on Aaron Rodgers. According to Pelissero, the Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on J.J. McCarthy, making it clear to other teams that they are committed to him as their quarterback. Sources say that while Minnesota does plan to add a veteran, they are not currently pursuing Aaron Rodgers. McCarthy is entering the offseason as their undisputed QB1. Pelissero took this a step further on NFL Network, stating that not only have the Vikings removed themselves from the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, but they have also directly informed Rodgers and his agent that they are not interested in bringing him to Minnesota. However, despite this, reports have surfaced suggesting that Rodgers would sign right now with the Vikings if given the opportunity. That alone is concerning. If Rodgers is reportedly willing to commit to Minnesota immediately, but is still dragging his feet with Pittsburgh, that raises a legitimate question. Why hasn't he shifted his focus to the Steelers now that the Vikings are out of the picture? Then, shortly after Pelissero's report, we got another update, this time from Adam Schefter at ESPN. According to Schefter, nothing regarding Minnesota has impacted Aaron Rodgers' timeline. One source close to the situation stated that Rodgers is in no rush at all to make a decision about the 2025 season. Now, if that's true, it adds another layer of frustration. If Rodgers was truly set on playing for the Steelers, what is taking so long? Why hasn't he signed yet? Look, I get why Rodgers would prefer Minnesota. If I were in his shoes, I'd probably want to go there too. The Vikings have made major moves to strengthen their offensive and defensive lines in free agency. They have one of the best receivers in the game in Justin Jefferson. They've got Jordan Addison as a solid number 2 option, an elite tight end in T.J. Hockenson, and Rodgers' old friend Aaron Jones in the backfield. On top of that, they have Kevin O'Connell, a highly respected offensive mind and the reigning coach of the year. Defensively, Brian Flores has transformed that unit into a real force. Given all of that, of course, Rodgers would be intrigued by Minnesota. But if they've told him they aren't interested, why hasn't he pivoted to his next best option? That's the part that doesn't add up. It has been over 24 hours since Pelissero's report confirmed that the Vikings are out of the running. So why hasn't Rodgers fully committed to Pittsburgh? That's a fair question to ask, and I've got 5 possible explanations for why this is happening. The first potential answer is simple. Rodgers is just taking his time, no matter the team. Maybe the reports about him being willing to sign with Minnesota immediately are false. We know how tight Rodgers' inner circle is. Pat McAfee and A.J. Hawk, 2 of the people closest to him in the media, have openly admitted that they haven't heard a word from him during this entire process. If even they are in the dark, it's safe to assume that only a handful of people in the world truly know what Aaron Rodgers is thinking. So, when Adam Schefter reports that a source close to Rodgers says he's in no rush, we have to take that with a grain of salt. It's entirely possible that Rodgers is simply moving at his own pace and has no sense of urgency whatsoever. The third potential explanation, and the one that concerns me the most, is that Rodgers doesn't actually want to play for the Steelers. Because if he did, why would it take this long? If he was truly excited about joining this team, he would have signed the moment an offer was presented. Instead, we're sitting here 2 weeks into free agency, still waiting for an answer. That's a red flag. Think about it. Pittsburgh has a strong defense, a respected head coach in Mike Tomlin, a solid receiving duo with DK Metcalf and George Pickens, and a capable tight end in Pat Freiermuth. They're going to add a high-quality running back in the draft, further strengthening the offense. And Rodgers has openly praised the Steelers organization multiple times on the Pat McAfee show. He has talked about how much he respects Mike Tomlin, how much he admires the franchise's history, and how passionate the fan base is. Given all of that, you would think he'd be eager to join this team. So why the delay? That's the part that doesn't make sense. If I were the Steelers, I'd put a deadline on this. Call Rodgers up and tell him he has until the end of the week to decide. If he doesn't, move on and sign Russell Wilson or another veteran. Pittsburgh can't afford to put all its eggs in Rodgers' basket, only to get burned at the last second. It's time for the Steelers to take control of the situation before it spirals out of their hands. At this point, we have to consider that Rodgers might just be enjoying the attention. He has always been someone who operates on his own terms, taking his time to make decisions while the entire NFL world speculates about his next move. Maybe this is just another example of Rodgers keeping everyone guessing, refusing to let the media or front offices dictate his timeline. But if that's the case, the Steelers should not be playing his game. They should take control of their own destiny and start planning for the season without him. So what's the next move? If I were the Steelers, I would set a hard deadline. Rodgers has had plenty of time to make a decision, and the Steelers deserve clarity. Give him a few more days, maybe until the end of the week, but after that, they need to move on. If he's not ready to commit, then the team should go full speed ahead with Russell Wilson or another option. At some point, the waiting game has to end, and the Steelers need to start focusing on building their team for the season ahead. Rodgers has all the leverage right now because the Steelers have allowed him to have it. But that needs to change. Pittsburgh has to take control of the situation and force Rodgers to make a choice. Either he's in or he's out. The longer this drags on, the more it hurts the team, and the Steelers cannot afford to let that happen. It's time to put an end to the uncertainty and make a decision, one way or another. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In an unexpected turn of events, rumors have ignited around the Pittsburgh Steelers' potential acquisition of Trevor Lawrence, sending shockwaves through the NFL. After an uncharacteristic season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Lawrence, still only 25, is reportedly being courted by the Steelers in a move that could reshape the future of both franchises. With the Jaguars' struggles, especially following Lawrence's injury-riddled campaign in 2024, whispers about his future have become louder than ever, and now Pittsburgh seems poised to make an audacious bid. The Steelers, who have been on the lookout for a top-tier quarterback to succeed their aging core, are said to be offering Lawrence an unprecedented deal. With his potential and past achievements, including a massive $275 million extension in 2024, the prospect of him joining Pittsburgh would not only elevate their offense, but also restore their status as a Super Bowl contender. The Steelers' front office is reportedly working behind the scenes, negotiating terms that could make the deal a reality, but fans and pundits alike are questioning whether this move could truly benefit the young star. As the days unfold, all eyes will remain on Pittsburgh and Jacksonville. Could Trevor Lawrence be the future of the Steelers, or will he stay the face of the Jaguars in a rebuilding phase? The suspense is building, and the NFL landscape may never look the same again. Stay tuned as more details emerge on this blockbuster potential trade. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.